Chris, and that is Eric. And so first thing off the bat, we're thinking about changing the name of the podcast because we like to do the burger thing, but we've sort of...
It's problematic.
Well, in all reality, what was happening was we were doing the podcast and we were looking at the views, and we do a burger and there would be 30 views, and we do a bourbon and there's 400, 500 views. So it's clearly you guys are more drunks than you are foodies. So
there were also logistical challenges too with doing burgers.
Well,
so you go get something from takeout, you bring it back into the office. By the time you bring it back in,
that's true.
It's cold.
Set everything up. Yeah, it's not fresh out.
And then just to add to that, bourbon just does not sound good.
Actually, it sounds fantastic.
Well, okay, so maybe we stick with that.
But as far as the naming of the show,
so
maybe not.
Maybe we get some suggestions.
Well, yeah. So that's what we're trying to do now. Is we'll do this over the next several weeks. Is just to get suggestions on what we should name the show. So if you've got any clever ideas, just respond back, and Miss Producer will write them all down, and we'll vote on them and see what you guys think. But anyway, we are looking to change the name of the podcast because we're just going to do straight bourbon from now on. Because that's what we'd rather do on a Friday afternoon is drink bourbon than try to eat a burger and then bourbon, because you don't ever want to drink that much bourbon on a full stomach. So anyway, it's much better off on an empty stomach. All right, so today the bottle is New Riff. Riff or Rife?
Riff. Yeah,
okay,
Riff.
New Riff.
Rife.
Well, I know, but I get confused because there is a Rife in our mix, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, okay.
One, yeah.
All right, so that's, but anyway. All right, so anyway, there it is. I will tell you, I've actually had this before. Not the single barrel. You said there was another.
Yeah, there's just a regular one, and the name pops out of my head. And I've had it, and both of you and I said,
I struggled with
okay,
it.
yeah.
I struggle with it. So this will be interesting. This is single barrel. And so, Eric, you've not had this.
I've not had any New Riff.
That's right. Okay.
So,
Yeah. All right, so why don't you tell us about New Riff and why you picked this bottle?
This is first of all, it's a super cool bottle. I mean,
It is
this
cool.
is one you can see when you go to a liquor store. You will see this one in the middle of all the other stuff. It kind of stands out. It's obvious why. We did have a little problem pouring it. It's a little bit like a wine bottle, and well, we had to clean up all the bourbon that we spilled.
Yeah.
But the like I said, you and I had tried the other one. In talking to people, I talked to a lot of people that said the original it's okay, but they really like the single barrel. And I thought, man, that's a good one to try, and it's right in the price point where we like to normally be. It's I bought this one for I think it was $46, so it's in that 40 to 50 window. So I just thought it would be a cool one, and they are out of Newport. So this is Cincinnati metro area, northern Kentucky. I suspect that's where the New comes from. Supposedly it's a pretty good tour. I have not been on it, but it's a very modern looking building from all the pictures. So if you're interested, by all means, give them a shot.
Well, it's a newer distillery too.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And so you might just real quick explain when it says single barrel versus the other.
Okay, so just a reminder, normally when you take your bourbon out of the cask, you take multiple barrels that were all from the same exact mash bill, aged the same time and everything, and you blend them all together and then you water it down to get to the proof that you want. In the case of a single barrel, all of that's the same except that everything in that bottle came out of one barrel. So you're going to get some inconsistency from one bottle to the next. We did that with the Bullet single barrel. But it makes it a little bit more desirable. Some of the single barrels have some fantastic things. It's different from one bottle to the next because the oak that was used in that barrel came from a different tree. So
it depends on where it is in the rickhouse too.
Exactly. Picks up different flavors. They tend to put the single barrels in the sweet spot of the rickhouse. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right, so let's try it. Do we have one for next week, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. And by the way, if you are just joining this the first time you've seen it, I don't know how many we've done now. Oh boy! All right, I wish that we had that reaction on tape. So our producer back there,
she
she's
did
the first
shimmy.
time.
Yeah.
She did a little shimmy shake back there because evidently it was a little strong. But anyway, so if you haven't had a chance to go back and review our other bourbons, we do this every week, every Friday. Go back and check those out. We've had some really good ones, and then we've had some not so good ones. And as we always say, while these guys are taking a taste, it's very important. I had a buddy of mine the other day. He sent me a text and said, "Hey, I know you guys do that bourbon. I want to buy some for a friend for a birthday. What do you recommend?" And I said, "Hey, you need to go out and try." He had a list of them, sent it to me, and I said, "Hey, why don't you try this one?" I said, "But when you go to his house, and you guys taste it, because he'd never had it either. I said, taste it neat first, right?
Yes,
We always say
absolutely.
this. Try it a little neat first. Just take a little bit and then put a little piece of ice in there, chill it down, or a Cold Stone, or whatever you do to chill it, and taste it again, because it brings out a totally
Changes
different
that
flavor.
yeah.
And that's what we try to do here. We all try it neat, and then we put ice in there, because I think you like yours over ice, right? I mean, you don't
As a
necessarily-
general rule,
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and,
I'm a rocks guy.
yeah, okay, yeah. So, and I think Aaron is too. I think he likes it.
Yeah, he likes a glass full of ice.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not. I like it kind of like this, but it depends on the flavoring, right? There was one we did not too long ago that I thought it was awful neat. I put a piece of ice in there and rolled it around, and it got better and better. And the more it cooled off, the more I liked it.
Yeah.
So, and actually with ice, I could drink it no problem.
Yeah.
Neat. It was tough. So,
That was awesome to watch
Yeah.
y'all's reactions.
yeah, it was.
What do you
tough.
think, Eric?
It's okay. It lingers a little bit.
Yeah, there's a long finish on that.
It's finishing I don't feel it. There's no burn.
Yeah, I don't like that burn all the way
Yeah,
down.
there's no-
here. A little
there's
bit in
no
the mouth
burn.
is fine. I like
But yeah,
that.
the taste lingers a little bit in your tongue.
If you like vanilla, this one is heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of vanilla flavor in that.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of bite on that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go straight for the ice. That's how much bite is
All
on
right.
there for me. That was. I mean, I could do it, but it wouldn't be. It certainly wouldn't be something that. Let me get a smaller piece of ice. Certainly, it wouldn't something I would want.
I'm gonna do the same thing, just see what it tastes like.
I wouldn't want that all the time. It's tough. Oh, and by the way, while we're kind of chilling things down a little bit, for those of you that do kind of follow this podcast, you see our name up here. Make sure that you go to our website. It's fwppartners.com. Make sure you go there, because we do have another podcast. We recently just changed the name of it. It was a spinoff of an old radio show we had called Peace of Mind Radio. We transitioned over to the Money Puzzle about 2-3 weeks ago, something
Yeah,
like that,
something
maybe
like
a
that,
little bit
yeah.
longer than that. But anyway, so we do have a podcast where we talk financially related stuff, and that's on. It's called the Money Puzzle. It's pretty cool. We actually have some exciting news coming out, which we'll share with the bourbon folks that follow us coming up in about 2 weeks. We'll start to announce that. What
Yep.
do you guys say?
Give or take.
Yep, but the big day for us is going to be April 2nd, which we'll get to more detail out to you shortly. But it is
Actually,
going
you
to
know what? When this episode airs, you're going to be about
Pretty
2
close.
weeks away from that. So
Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
next week we'll do our announcement.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a teaser for next week. Make sure you tune in, because we'll unveil what our kind of exciting news is going to be starting April 2nd. So anyway, I'm just yakking until the ice gets a little time to melt here. So what do you guys think?
I like it better without the ice.
You do?
The flavor is still good. It's
Okay.
it's not great, but it's good. But it took a lot of the bite away, and I actually liked it.
So you like biting.
I like
right?
bite.
Okay.
And the vanilla that I was picking up before, I've lost a lot of that.
I'd agree with a lot of that. I'm more of a rocks guy, but this I think took away too much.
Too much, yeah.
It's
Took away too much of the bite. You
Too
like
mu-
a little
too
of that?
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the flavor profile. Now it's just almost too watered down.
It's too watered down. Yeah, this, instead of putting in
I
ice,
mean, I just put one cube.
maybe put in just 5 or 6 drops of water instead of a whole cube of ice. This might be better like this. It took too much of the flavor
And it
away.
was 102, right?
Yeah.
102 proof. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'll tell you. It's I agree with what you guys are saying, in that it took away some of the flavoring. I still get a little bite, but I don't know which I like. Well, first of all, I don't care for it. Okay, and that's my personal preference.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that absolutely love this stuff. More power to you. My favorite's Bullet. We did that 2-3 weeks ago. And these guys are, I think Aaron did it with us. Did you do one of those with us? I think it was Aaron. But anyway, those guys were like, it's maybe a 7 at best. And I'm like, holy cow, what are you talking about? It's like a 9.5. So it's all personal preference. To me, this has a lot of bite in the beginning at neat. And even this, it is a little bit more watered down. But now that I've got ice in there, it almost has no flavoring. It's weird.
Yeah.
There's
It's-
less bite, but less flavor too.
Yeah,
it doesn't bring out any flavor. Yeah.
It's really odd. Most of the time, I think you still, if it's got flavoring, it still has flavoring when it's cold. It's just maybe a little bit different spin on the flavoring, if you will. To me, this has no flavoring to it at all.
I would
I don't know.
suggest that this is a neat only bourbon. This is, I just don't care for it with
I like it
ice.
better
It's
neat.
too watered down. And if the
Yeah.
bite is a little bit too much for you, maybe a good Kentucky Chew first, and that eliminates a
Yeah.
little bit of that problem.
Explain what a Kentucky Chew
Kentucky
is.
Chew, for those of you that don't know, you haven't had any bourbon in your palate up to this point in the day. You take a little sip, just enough. You swish it around. You get it all over your gums, all over your tongue. Kind of gets rid of that numbingness. Swallow that, and then the next drink you'll actually like. The Kentucky Chew's not supposed to be pleasant, but it's designed to make the rest of it
Way to
be
sell
good.
it.
Yeah.
Way to sell it, yeah.
The rest of it is good. It gets rid of that too much burn, kind of numbs you down a little bit. And I think that would have been a good idea on this one. And then just drink this neat. And I did like it.
You don't. I mean, the Kentucky Chew. You don't spittoon it out into your spittoon or whatever. You
I don't, because that's a waste, but I'm sure there's people out there that do.
Yeah. I actually watched a documentary on bourbon, and it was a guy talking about how these different flavorings would come in, and it was when they were talking about flavoring
Yeah.
bourbons, and he literally had a bunch of little glasses lined up, and he would take them and smell little snifters, I guess
Yeah.
what you call it, and he was and then he would take a little spit, swish it around, and spit it out.
Spit it out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And I
it.
guess
It's like a wine taster.
well, I guess it's so
Yeah.
you don't go home hammered, after work.
Well,
That's
yeah.
probably not a good idea.
Well, I mean, if you're working at a distillery or something, you're trying to figure out
Yeah.
flavor
Right.
profiles. That's
Right.
a dangerous job if you're
Yeah.
swallowing.
Yeah, if you swallow every drink.
Yeah. Oh, so this is an interesting take. So I used to work with a guy named Matt Yost. He's up in Cincinnati now, but his wife was the creator of Jim Beam Honey.
Really?
She's a foodologist. Matt, you're probably
foodologist.
you're gonna kill me if that's not the technical term of it, or a flavorologist or something. But she's like a chemist,
Okay.
and she's a food chemist, and she came up with that profile of.
I can
Jim
think
Beam
of
Honey.
worse jobs.
Hey,
That's
That
the
actually
stuff.
doesn't sound half bad.
I know.
at all.
That's
what
the
I'm
stuff
saying.
that my wife likes.
Yeah.
Is the honeys and the cherries
Yeah.
and the vanilla. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Although a lot of people say that's not really bourbon.
Oh, it's absolutely not really.
It's
bourbon.
not.
Because
It's
you're-
it's
because you're
bourbon
flavoring it.
that you've done something with
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of them do that, right? I mean, there's a lot of bourbons that will do flavoring. For
To-
example,
to each his own. I mean, if you like
Well, yeah.
that, then by all means.
yeah. I mean, you can go make your own bourbon down at you couldn't make your own bourbon, but you can make your own flavoring at Maker's Mark, right? You
Yeah.
go put some wood staves. They have different flavored wood staves. You drop it in there, and you can call it whatever you want. It's Maker's Mark, but then you put the wood flavored
Right.
staves in there and make your own bourbon. So anyway, all right, let's rate it. Let me know what you think.
5.
That's he's just like 5. I don't much care for it, pretty much, right?
So I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go so you can finish up.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I'm almost because you'll kind of spin this a little bit. I'm maybe 5.5, 6 at best. This is not one I'm going to go out and buy. Now, would I drink it at somebody's house? Sure, if that's all they had. But if they had something else, I probably would try something else.
Okay. Neat. I would say this is a 6.5, maybe a 7. But I like that really heavy caramel
Yeah.
vanilla flavor that I was getting. With ice in it, 3. It's too weak. I've lost all the flavor. It's just not there.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that's it for Rife. You guys want
Not Rife.
Riff?
New riff.
New Riff. Sorry, I'll never get that right. Actually, I'll tell you what. So
New riff,
Yeah.
single barrel.
so that
I mean,
right.
you can read it literally right there. Right?
Well, I was looking at it, but I look at it and said, right, anyway. Anyway, there's 2 kids. I coach lacrosse, and there's twins on there. Now, they really don't look a lot alike, but I will never, I told them, I said, I'm just going to call you one of their names, and I never get it right. And they're like, Coach, I'm the other one. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to call you one of their names. You go with it, right? You know what?
Paint A and B on
When
the
I'm
helmets.
looking at you, that's the one I'm calling. I'll never get your names right. But anyway, all right. So that's it for another week. Just make sure you tune in to next week, and make sure Eric's going to sign us off in a second. But make sure if you've missed an episode, go back and check all the other episodes we've done. I don't know, 20 or 30 or so, something like that. But anyway, some good bourbons, and then we have ones like this where it's maybe not top of our list, but you may love it, and that's awesome if you do. Everybody's a little bit different. That's why there's thousands of bourbons out there. And we are looking to change the name of the podcast, so if you have a clever name, you want to put it in a hat for consideration, make sure that you respond back. And Mr. Producer that clearly does not like this or doesn't like bourbon because of her reaction. But anyway, let us know, and I'll let Eric sign us off for another week.
Yep. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, just hit that red subscribe button, leave us a comment, leave us a rating. We appreciate it. And yeah, like Brian said, if you have any ideas for future names, drop those in the comments as well.